Welcome. Ed, go right ahead.
Alrighty, I'm gonna do the share then. Thank you very much, Laura. S- Uh, okay, here. You should see that.
Yep.
I think. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. And I hope you guys are enjoying good weather. It's kind of warm today, but not bad. Fires are not too bad. But anyway, so tonight I'm going to talk about this is the first of our talks. I give a series of talks on various things in amateur radio, from DMR to different antenna configurations to um, super amplifier designs and things like that. But this, a lot of people begin with this, and then they follow it on with a gain antenna for J poles, and then the tri-band antenna, and then I've got some other interesting talks on DMR. Let's see. Oh, there's one on the USDX radio. But anyway, see how you guys like this. And yeah, if I was up there, I could just do it live. And I go up there every now and then. Um, let's see. So do I have everything? Yes, I think so. Okay. So tonight I'm going to talk about the reason why this is the beginning one is this is the first type of antenna I made, those dual band. Then we did other things to it, and it's a pretty classical design. I mean, it's in the antenna volume 8 compendium. It's in the VHF UHF classics. It's in the volume 3. It was originally published in 2003, and I think the tri-band's also in the AWRO handbook now. But okay, that's another talk we can give. So I go around giving talks. If you guys come on down to PacificCon, I'm going to give a talk this year on the antenna seminar on what's the trick in these nano VNAs and these tiny SAs? What was the big breakthrough that made them so inexpensive? Okay, so the one I'm going to talk about specifically is going to be this one here, which is our DBJ1. Originally came up with the idea 20 years ago. And then there's a roll-up version that I'll talk about. It's very similar, it's just that we made it a roll-up version portable. So a lot of you folks might even have one. And then our last one was the tri-band. If you guys ever interested in 220, 2-meter 220, 70 centimeters, all in one PVC pipe, with no radials, no DC lightning arrestor, and uh, difficult to build by yourself, but we'll build it for you. My students will be glad to build one for you. They're really proud of the fact that we can bid one of the only tri-band antennas out there that's affordable. You know, that's $60. It's really affordable. That's my daughter, KJ6QXM. She is this picture was taken a while ago, but now she has a bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering. And what else? You know, she has a master's in mechatronics, which is robotics. And I talk about patents. The one I'm going to talk about tonight is not patented. You know, 20 years ago, I just didn't think of it. I just thought it was a cool little project, but we had to patent our ideas because manufacturers are stealing them. It's right out of the QST articles and selling them. That wasn't too cool, and without our permission because it wasn't patented. So the for example, the tri-band one, which is a talk I give, that we did patent through the university. Really good attorney, Mike Kaufman here. He's K6C CVD, VCD, I think. Really good guy. And he also patented the what you would get gain. How do you make a two-element collinear, for example, or n-element collinear, and how much gain you can get out of it. So I've got some pretty clever ways of doing it that you can really do on your own. Okay, to make a dual band, why did I choose a J-pole? I chose a J-pole because I looked into this, and ground planes. I grew up with ground planes in the late 60s building antennas, and that's all we knew. And they work okay. But really, when I start playing around with repeaters, ground planes were not that good. They don't hold up very well. If you've got these radios sticking out, and which causes quite a load because it's got a horizontal axis of weight, right? As opposed to a simple example, I can show it to you. We're grabbing an antenna here, a bunch here. Right, if you had an antenna and a PVC pipe, it doesn't take a mechanical engineer like my daughter to figure this out. You can hold it up vertically. You can hold up anything vertically. It's all vertical force. fairly easily. But once you present a horizontal force to it, you like tipping it over, oh, you know as well as I do, that's much harder to hold up. Well, just with my hands like this, I can hold it, but I can feel the force. Well, think about radials sitting up there all season, especially in the winters when it's raining and it's snowing and all that, they fall apart after a while. That is very why I have a photo. Here's a photo of Mount Sutro. If you guys have been down here at the city, there's all the fog, the city fog blowing in. Took this picture a few years ago. And yeah, they eliminated radios. You don't see antennas with radios anymore. They don't hold up. And you know, in a big tower like this, where if you got to go replace a radio or replace an antenna, it's a big event with permits. You got to watch for the weather. You got to have spotters because this is a 250-foot tower here. Got ladders and safety checks and all this. You're talking $1,000 to get a climber up there, take down an antenna, fix it. Oh, it's quite elaborate. Not to mention all the permits. So you really want something to last. But we found that the J pole, I'll show you why in a while, because it's got no radials, but not only that, no radials. It's a DC shorted antenna. It's closer to an ideal dipole than a ground plane. A ground plane is not ideal. It's got a little 2 or 3 degrees tilt upwards because of the radials. And it's the radials that pull it down, the radiation. But in a dipole, it's 180 degrees the other counterbalance quarter wave, so it pulls it down even further. So it gives, a vertical dipole will give you, something like this. Let me see here, a vertical dipole. If you can feed a vertical dipole like this, now what you don't see is there's a little Teflon insulator there. So there's the top part and the bottom part. If you can feed it like this, the pattern is quite good if it were in free space. The problem is you can't. You got to feed it with coax and you got to feed it at 90 degrees. If you make it parallel, it'll affect the resonance. The antenna will not resonate. So it's got to be 90 degrees, which means you have to hold it up with an arm. And again, you have torque here. Ideally, you will want this to go really, really, really far out, away from your mask. But unfortunately, the further you go out, the more torque you produce there. So, back in, I didn't know a whole lot about this stuff when I was in high school, but it was just fun doing it. We'd go to repeater sites and, guys were more experienced than I was, but we would build these things and so, well, you want it far out because you want the coverage. But you hold your hand, a dipole 6 feet out, and you can't, it will not hold. You would have to weld it. That solder is pretty weak. When you bend it, it's pretty weak. And even though it looks like it's metal, it is metal, but it's a very soft metal. Eventually just rocks out. So it's not a very good way to do a vertical antenna. And that's why people have ground planes, you feed it from the bottom. But here comes the J-pole configuration. I chose the J-pole. It's end-fed, an ideal pattern, and I'm sure a lot of you folks have built these, copper J's, any version of the J-pole. It's actually a very good antenna. You just have to understand how it's made, right? We'll get into this. That's a version of a J-pole done with ribbon twinning, in a very simple way. And I just understand how this thing works. So let me go back here. So these are mostly, if you tear these apart, they're J-pole configurations. The disadvantage of a J-pole is it is 3 1/4 wavelengths in height. A ground plane antenna is only 1/4 wavelength with 1/4 wavelength ground radios.
Ed, this is
So
Laura. I think you're having quite a bit of signal fade.
taller, but it's how that's why you hard to implement the internet. Really, the data rate really goes down. How's my audio now? Any better?
I think you have quite a bit of signal fade on your audio.
Huh. Let me see what I can do about that.
It's really good, and then it fades out and then
Is
comes
it,
back.
is it maybe I'm just not talking? How about when I talk closer to the mic?
Let's try it. Let's try that, see if that helps. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if I take away this. I don't know. Huh. Hmm. I'm glad you told me this. How about when I talk like this? Is this any better?
Sounds great right now. Thank you so much.
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, okay. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, just tell me. I'm glad you told me that. Um, and the slides are okay. The videos
Yes.
okay.
Yes, it's excellent.
Okay. 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 Maybe I'll just talk closer. Wow, I didn't know that. This is a high on mic too. It's not close enough. Okay. So anyway, what you see is all these have no radials. And I would conclude most of them are J-pole design. So let's get into the J-pole design real quick. Uh, I'll just go through a J-pole real quick. So J-pole design is like this. It's a half, this is a twin lead now, but this doesn't have to be a twin lead. This is just a half wave radiator right here. So this is on 2 meters, this would be 38, 37, 38 inches, depending where you want to cut it. And again, in a regular dipole, you would have fed it in the middle, just like what we showed you. That's the low impedance point. It's, 65, 70 ohms or so. You can feed it with coax. But then you would have to feed it at right angles. And that's not good because you can't hold it at right angles physically very far. So what you want to do is, can you feed it from the bottom? And some clever guy, was not me, says, well, if it's the bottom, a dipole antenna is high impedance. It's low impedance in the middle, 60, 70 ohms, and you can feed it with coax. But as you go further out the outside, the voltage is going to go up and the current goes down. Again, you can translate that as higher impedance. In fact, it's quite high by the time you get to the tip because that's how it transmits, right? It's got no current, but it's got a lot of voltage and it propagates. Okay, so Laura, is this any better as I'm talking closer to the mic?
Yes, it's excellent. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad you told me this. I'm glad you told me this. Perhaps I can reset my mic gain or something. Okay, okay, good. So at the end, it's going to be high impedance. If you'd actually measure it in the thousands of ohms, not 50, but in the thousands. So how do you get that couple of thousand ohm impedance here to match your 50 ohms here? You have 50 ohm coax, 50 ohm radio. So how do you feed it into 2000 ohms or 3000? Just really high. You have this little quarter wave matching stub.